Welcome everyone to SDP Connect. My name is Christiana Morales. I am the director of the Self-Determination Program here at Disability Voices United. We're so happy to see everyone. We have a few announcements and then we have a very special guest to introduce you to. We're going to start with an announcement from our own Gilda Hiron.
Hello, everyone. We're going to be doing a toy giveaway this December 14th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the North LA uh, County Regional Center catchment area. And thank you, Christiana, for sharing the flyer. It's going to be at Tierra del Sol Foundation in City of Sunland. And we would love for you to join us at noon for a lunch honoring Caroline Menjivar. And this is an event that we are sponsoring along with ICC, which is the Integrated Community Collaborative, a sister organization of ours. And Senator Carolyn Menjivar was the one that championed our Senate Bill 1281, the Advancing Equity and Access to the Self-Determination Program Act. So we would love for our SDP Connect participants and families to join us if you can. If not, please share our flyer. And even if you can come, please share our flyer. We would love for our community to show up. So that's one announcement, and the flyer is also in the chat. The second announcement is that we have our Emerging Leader Program applications open, and this is a program for a free 4-part training for self-advocates and family advocates who are interested in wanting to get involved in a systemic way and to take leadership. For example, sitting on boards or committees. If you're interested in that, this program is for you. And we would love for our community from SDP Connect to join us and join this program. The deadline is December 20th. And yes, if you have any questions, I will put my email in the chat if anyone has any questions about the program. And it's going to be virtual on Zoom. And yes, thank you, Christiana.
Thanks, Gilda. I can't wait for the toy giveaway because I heard a rumor that not only is Santa going to be there, but his better half, Mrs. Claus, is going to be there. So you definitely want to show up to see Santa and Mrs. Claus. We have another quick announcement, which is Westside Regional Center is doing a winter bazaar for their micro enterprises. And so many of our SDP people love to do micro enterprises. So this is a great opportunity if you have a micro enterprise and you would like to sell your goods there. Please feel free to contact them as well to go do some shopping. I think it's a great opportunity. They make the coolest things. So something to go check out. Please share the flyer. It is at the Green Valley Circle, Culver City in the west side. So if you're in Southern California, you're in our neighborhood, please feel free to come visit. And our very last one is Inland Regional Center is starting a new support group and starting in January. DVU is going to be facilitating it. We're going to have Katie Ramirez from Allied Comprehensive Services joining us as well to be presenting. We're going to be there on the first Thursday of every month on Zoom from 10 a.m. to 11:30. We will specifically be talking about Inland Regional Center, but everybody is always welcome to any of our events. So we hope to see a lot of friendly faces there. And so, oh, I also have it in Spanish so people can see that flyer. And I know that Kaylee has been dropping these into the chat as we've been talking and doing our announcements. So now we get to the fun part. I get the wonderful opportunity to introduce everybody. As you know, we have a ombudsperson for self-determination program, and they've changed a few times over the years. And then for a while we didn't have one. So we have one now, and her name is Marlene Morales. I just changed your name, sorry. Marlene Morales. She's going to introduce herself to all of you. Some of you may have already met her. I remember meeting her from the Regional Center of Orange County. So Marlene, welcome. Thank you so much for coming and sharing information for us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here and for the opportunity to join you today. So thank you so much for the warm welcome. So as you mentioned, my name is Marlene Morales, and I am the new Self-Determination Ombudsperson. I'm very happy to have joined the Self-Determination Program Ombudsperson's office, and I really look forward to contributing to the work that is already being done. I know there's a lot more work to be done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and then I'll tell you a little bit more about myself. And then I'm going to have a short presentation, but I do know that we want to leave some time for questions and answers. So I'll make it brief and then it looks like Christiana will take questions at the end, right? So give me 1 second to share my screen. And when I practiced, it was so easy. And now I'm like, wait, give me 1 second.
While she's doing that, everybody has to notice our really cute little lights. Michaela taught us how to put the lights on our Here's the screen.
All
Yay.
right, there we go. All right. So as I mentioned, my name is Marlene Morales. What we'll do is I'll introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me. So I did join the office about 2 months ago. I joined on September 25th, and I've been working really closely with Katie Hornberger, who's been the acting ombudsperson for some time, and just working very collaboratively with the office and the team. Prior to joining the office, as Christiana mentioned, I was part of the Regional Center of Orange County. I was there for almost a decade. I started there as a bilingual service coordinator. Then I became an area supervisor. And the most recent role I held there was a participant choice specialist for the self-determination program. And I did take a break from the regional center, and I was a behavioral health clinician for Orange County Healthcare Agency, where I worked with children, teens, and their families in addressing mental health. But I really did realize that my heart was with our community. So I did return to the regional center, and I'm very passionate about the work that we do. I do listen to DVU, so I know that Regional Center of Orange County, right, they're definitely, right, areas that the community really hopes to address. And I'm very excited to be part of this role to help address what's happening throughout the state. And a big part of it is equity, right? Ensuring that people have the information that is needed. I'm so passionate about ensuring that everybody has access, because I definitely feel information is power, and I'm very passionate about the self-determination program. And I see the amazing things that it's allowed, just like it's given people opportunities that otherwise they wouldn't have. And I just, when I see that, I really choke up a little bit, because it's such an amazing experience, and just being part of that journey with somebody can just be so rewarding. So I am very passionate about the program. I want to see it succeed. I definitely want to see it there be consistencies throughout the state, and for people to, no matter where you are at, right, that there's consistency, that there's accessibility, and that information is easily accessible. So I am bilingual Spanish, so I do work a lot with the Spanish-speaking community and other stakeholders as well. I am bicultural, first generation here, so a lot of the information that I hear, I definitely understand and have lived firsthand. So I'm just very happy to be here, and just very excited to see what the office can continue to do to support the program and the community. And I apologize, I am a little bit under the weather, so you're going to see me use a tissue once in a while. But with that, our time today, I wanted to take some time to introduce myself, explain the role of our office, as well as present you with some data. So what has the office been doing in the past 12 months? Also give you some information in regards to what our office cannot do. And also, how can you receive a support from us or assistance from us? And then open it for questions. And part of it is like during these questions, if you have any suggestions, I'm more than happy. I'm like a sponge trying to absorb everything. So you'll see me taking notes sometimes when I look down. So with that, our Office of the Ombudsperson, it's under the Division of Community Assistance and Resolutions. So there's 5 offices under this division. One of them being the Office of the Self-Determination Ombudsperson, which is where I am, and you might have had interactions with the manager, Cynthia, and then we have 3 staff that support as well. We also have a Office of the Latterman Ombudsperson, and what they do is everything not SDP related, right? So also providing information, we'll go a little bit more into that, but they do everything non-self-determination program related. There's also the Office of Quality Assurance in this division, the Office of Risk Management, and Office of Community Appeals and Resolutions. So here, we'll tell you a little bit about how the office came about. So I know DVU had a big part in the office being established, but statute really allowed for our office to be an independent and autonomous office for the self-determination program. And it was signed into law that really allowed for the office to have some structure that we'll go over what are some of those things that you can expect to receive from our office. And the governor signed it into law July 16th, 2021. And then Katie Hornberger opened the office later that year in October. And so a little bit about the role of the ombudsperson when it comes to self-determination. What our office does is we provide information. So if you are curious about, I heard about the program, I've called my regional center, I'm not sure, give us a call. Our office is more than happy to provide you resources, to link you depending on where you're in the process, whether it be information about the orientation or next steps, right? We definitely want to see more and more people receive information so they can make an informed decision in regards to where they want to go. Also, it could be in regards to if there's disagreements. We know that there's different parties. If you're in the self-determination program or in the journey of self-determination program, unfortunately at this time, some of the barriers that we encounter is there's disagreements. And with that, our office does the best that we can in facilitating resolutions. We come in as a neutral party. If the individual or the family provides us consent, we are able to connect with different parties to try and facilitate a resolution. Another big part of our office is investigating complaints. So here is, we want to capture bigger trends. If we notice that there is a more systemic situation going on, right? We definitely want to be able to, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, to have data that helps us drive some of these recommendations for policy changes. And also with that, there is the reporting to legislation, right? We want to make sure that we have the data, that we are transparent into the support that we are providing, because we are here for you and to really allow for the success of the program. So part of what we do with the information that you share with us is recommending changes to the department and to legislature. As you call, you may be worried about who we're going to disclose the information to, and everything that you're sharing, or within the realms, right? We're still mandated reporters, but we do your call is confidential to us. So if you're worried about will this happen, will that happen, it is confidential, and we will ask you. When I take a call, I say, like, based on the concern, do I have consent to reach out to this party or that party to ensure that you are aware of every step of the way with things there. So I wanted to share with you some statistics and some facts about our office. So from December of last year to November of this year, statewide self-determination And as I'm looking at this, I apologize. I was trying to use no acronyms and I realized that I still use one, but SDP, right, for self-determination. In the last 12 months, not counting the 11 months that we have in December, we received a total of 1,402 contacts. The majority of those contacts were through email. So that is the main form of that people feel most comfortable contacting us, and that's totally fine. Whatever is most comfortable for you to reach out to us. So there is an email, and I will provide that information at the end. Also phone. We have a phone line, and our phone line is live from 10 to 3, Monday through Friday. And if you call, we have been doing a lot of community outreach. So if you call, please leave a message and somebody will get back to you. It's not that somebody's not on the other line, it's just that they may be talking to somebody else, but we definitely do want to hear from you and we want to try and provide that assistance. We also have a web form that is our least popular option. You go onto our website and you're able to fill out fields. You can remain anonymous. You don't have to provide that information. The only limitation to that is we may not be able to follow up on some of those things. But if you want to share some information, just let us know of things like that. You're more than welcome to use that or provide us your information. So I wanted to provide you some insight into the types of calls and contacts that we have. So if you are in the self-determination program, or you're thinking about it, or if you explored it, or you know some information, you know that you need a financial management agency. So we also know that there's definitely been some barriers, there's definitely been some challenges, right, in regards to financial management agencies. So our main point of contact, or our main reason for contact, is related to financial management agencies. The second category, in FMS agencies, it could be when an FMS is choosing or has decided to end a model, or if regarding an employer burden, not receiving communication, all of those things our office does try and facilitate support there. We also have general information. If families, we've done a lot of community outreach and continue to do community outreach. We want to ensure that our information is out there and that you know that we are here to support the program. So providing information is another big part of what we do, whether it be giving you information about orientation or next steps or how to get a hold of somebody, how to navigate the website, all of the different things, and feel free to reach out to us. Then there's regional center category that the families are reaching out when they're having a concern, a barrier, or something related to the regional center. It could be, I'm not hearing from my service coordinator. I've had a service coordinator change and they don't really know about the self-determination program. I've asked for my budget and I haven't received it. Right, anything related to regional center. We do have the next category that is pretty tied with the regional center, which is a spending plan. So if you're in the self-determination program, you know that your spending plan is what drives the services that are being purchased under the program. And there, it could be anything spending plan related, whether there might be a disagreement in the spending plan, whether you haven't heard back, whether it's an FMS and a regional center having different versions, and just trying to facilitate anything related to the spending plans. Budgets is another category. So if there's any concerns or if there's any support that we have provided in being able to obtain a budget or clarification on what is on there, that's a category that's pretty popular. After that, we do have independent facilitators. Families will call us in regards to, it could be anything related to how is my independent facilitator going to get paid? I haven't, how can I obtain an independent facilitator? All of those different avenues. Then there's the person-centered plan, rights, right, to a hearing or an appeal. Sometimes it's this other category, right, where it's we really can't capture it in one of these other items. Sometimes people reach out to us and it's not necessarily self-determination related, and that's okay. We will try and do our best to connect you We do have the Louderman Ombudsperson's office, so we are always able to connect you with them as well. And then there's orientation information, and there have been some inquiries or contacts in regards to IPPs. So if there's any barriers with that, and if you're in self-determination, we do try and facilitate some of that. I will break it down a little bit more. And so here, the regional centers are by alphabetical order. And it shows here the breakdown of the contacts based by regional center. Right, so there's some larger regional centers like North LA, right? It has some contacts. Inland Regional Center, right, is a larger regional center, and you can see the volume of calls. There is this unknown that we also have. Sometimes families or individuals don't want to share with us what regional center they're part of, and that's okay, right? We want you to feel as comfortable as possible when you're reaching out to our office. So we will ask you information, and if you don't feel comfortable sharing, that's okay. We still want to provide the best support that we can. And in those cases, we don't register a regional center for you there. I do also want to share things that we're not able to do. Right, so some of the things that we're not able to do is we're not able to decide a dispute in favor of one party or another. Right, we do our best to facilitate those conversations to say, if somebody's seeing it one way and somebody else is seeing it another, saying like our interpretation of the directive or what's come out is this, right? And then try and facilitate some of that and see, have you thought about it this way? Have you thought about it the other way, to try and facilitate some of those conversations. Another thing that we can't do is represent somebody in hearing, right? That's something that we would not be able to do. We also cannot make a recommendation to a court or hearing officer, and we could not overturn a final hearing decision. So those are some of the things that we're not able to do. But we do try our best to facilitate and provide as much support as possible. We also wanted to make you aware, I know I presented some data, but if you're curious about your regional center and more details of like what types of breakdowns, so if my regional center had 100 contacts, what categories were there? We have a dashboard. So we have a dashboard on our website, and there you're able to filter through. Our dashboard is due for an update. We do update it every 6 months. And so it'll be due for an update in January, and it'll have the data from the, it'll include the data for the last 6 months as well. And here is, we do want to provide support, and this is how to reach us, right? We have our website, which is the Office of the Ombudsperson for Self-Determination. We have an email, which is sdp.ombudsperson@dds.ca.gov. And I know that ombudsperson title can be very overwhelming when I tell people, so I'm very happy in my new role. I'm the SDP ombudsperson. They're like, what is an ombudsperson? Right? And it's definitely a mouthful. So here it is. It's a live link. So Christiane, I don't know if this will be, PowerPoint will be shared, but people are able to click on it there. And you're also able to call our phone number. Again, there is our phone lines are live from 10 to 3 Monday through Friday. It doesn't mean that you can't call anytime outside of that. It's like you can leave a voicemail, and then we will do our best to get back to you as quickly as possible. And I spoke very fast, which I know I do. So I appreciate the time, and I definitely, Christiane, I'm going to give it back to you. I don't know if there's questions or anything that anybody wants further clarification on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you kind of going over. First of all, you're right. Ombudsperson is it's not a intuitive word to say, right? It's a little difficult. And we have had to explain it to people. And I thought it was very helpful to know kind of what your office can and cannot do. We do have some questions. So uh, if you haven't been with us before, we want you to know that you can either raise your hand or type your questions in the chat. I will read the questions from the chat out loud, and we alternate between the raised hands and the questions in the chat. But before we get started, Tina Ewing Wilson, who is our amazing outreach person for self-determination program, is on our staff, and she kind of had a comment of what's going on with her self-determination program right now that she wanted to share.
Thank you, Christiana. I'm gonna get to know you probably, Marlene. You probably have an email from me. I sent an email out yesterday asking for help. Um, first I have a question, and then I want to say a few things, but just for the help of expectation management, if you send an email, about how long should we expect to wait for a reply other than the auto-generated one that comes immediately?
That is a really great question, Tina, and I'm glad you asked that question. So we will get back to you within 48 hours. And so you will get somebody assigned, and then they will make contact with you, letting you know.
Awesome, because I sent the email yesterday and I was starting to wonder if I had gotten overlooked. So it hasn't been 48 hours yet. I think that would be 2 days. So that means I'll hear from you tomorrow, and I look forward to that because I'm a strong supporter of the self-determination program. But when something goes wrong in the self-determination program, it goes very, very wrong. Like I'm having worst case scenario right now. My staff were supposed to get paychecks on the 10th that didn't come and aren't expected to come anytime soon. And it's December. This is really hard for me. I was born in December. I can't change that. So every plan renewal happens on the 1st of December, or it is supposed to happen on the 1st of December, and about everything that could go wrong this year went wrong, and I need help. So I was trying to get an idea of, how long it takes to get help, because if my people don't get paid, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my staff. And my plan still hasn't gone through appropriately. There was some disagreement about some things in my plan that's got to be resolved. I'm not wanting to appeal it at this time because that will slow down my plan going through. But that's what started the slowdown. Yeah, there was a bunch of things that went wrong. I don't want to go into all the details, but I wanted to help everybody have some expectation management when we do reach out to you, because we reach out when we're in crisis, and so we need to know how long we need to wait for. So I look forward to hearing from you guys tomorrow, because my staff would really like to be paid before Christmas.
Yeah, and Tina, I'm very sorry to hear that that's the situation that you're encountering right now. And definitely, I appreciate your question in regards to timelines and expectations. And also, I want to be sensitive to the fact that when somebody is in self-determination, a lot of the services that are being purchased are essential, right, to the success of every individual. So I don't take it lightly, and definitely, we'll further look into that. So I appreciate you sharing today.
I was also wondering if they're ever going to have any timelines in place, because I'll give you an example. I turned my plan in August for a December renewal, thinking that that would give us enough time to argue about stuff, because they always argue about something. So I turned it in August, but then needed more assistance than I was receiving, so I asked for them to redo my IPP, even though we turned it in. So we asked them to redo the IPP. They redid it, and I qualified to have an increase in my budget. And so we redid the budget in September and turned it in. And they didn't even ask any questions until Halloween. So that's like the end of October. And then they didn't get back to us until 2 weeks before my plan was supposed to go through to tell us that they disagreed with something in the plan. I don't think that's fair. I turned it in plenty of time for them to say, hey, we don't agree with this, and give me time to appeal it. Don't wait until, and then I got an NOA 5 days before my plan was supposed to renew. That was a day full of seizures because so many things went wrong that day. And like so many other things too, but like it's not fair that there's no timelines that say, okay, this is when you should turn in your plan, and by this time, the regional center should be getting back to you, because we need a timeline, and we need some kind of way to hold them accountable, because my life is now in turmoil because they didn't do their job on time. I did my job. I turned my plan in plenty of time. I asked for exactly what I need, and I'm angry and I'm upset and I'm sad.
Yeah, and I hear that, Tina. It sounds like you are aware of some of the challenges, and what I'm hearing you say is that you really try to be proactive and submit things in a timely manner, even like, August to December, right, or end of November. And so definitely I don't want to speak to the specifics, right? Because I don't know the
Yeah,
specifics, but I
I haven't
definitely
given
want
said
to,
it all, so
yeah,
there's so much more.
yeah, but I do want to acknowledge that there is there has been a lot of feedback in regards to timelines and what those look like in self-determination. So I do want to acknowledge the fact that that is something that I've noticed in the time that I've been in the office in regards to that is something that is being requested in order to ensure, right, that services are implemented, and that there's smooth transitions through the years, or even a smooth transition into self-determination. So I really appreciate your comments and your questions, Tina.
I would also like to thank your office for responding when I filed an appeal against my FMS, because they weren't paying my staff um sick leave, and I thank you for addressing that. Unfortunately, I ended up having to change FMS because after I reported the problem, they stopped giving me what I needed, and they were taking weeks to get back to emails and months to hire people. So I changed FRMS, and that created a whole new disaster. But I wanted to thank you because even though it didn't get fixed for me, it got fixed for the other clients, and that matters to me too. So thank you for helping us.
I appreciate your comment, Tina. I think one of the very hard things sometimes is we might get a call and we realize it's a systemic issue, right, or a systemic concern. And the calls that I've, the support that I've provided, I say, I want you to know that even though maybe the answer or the ideal solution did not happen today, it doesn't mean that it's not driving recommendations, or it's not creating enough information to share that this is a pattern, right? And that this needs to be addressed in a larger scale. So I really appreciate your comments, Tina. Thank you.
And I think that hits on something which I think is important that Marlene did talk about, which is if you have a problem and it was resolved, still let the ombudsperson's office know, because they are tracking the data. And so they need to be kept in the loop so they can keep that data. There was a comment from Spencer, who is from an FMS at 501, who said, Tina needs to notify her FMS that regardless of spending plan issues, if an employee worked the hours, they need to get paid. No excused. Inform your FMS that they will be responsible for the $5,000 per occurrence per employee penalty. So I thought that was something that I wanted to make sure everybody heard and shared. Judy had her hand up, and she doesn't need to put her hand up.
I
You can
did.
jump in anytime you want.
It was you kind of said it. I was wondering, Marlene, if just because of the issues that Tina raised, I'm seeing in the chat, and I have heard through many stories, that this is a repeated occurrence, that we have heard of people not getting paid before. And so we're wondering whether you could put out information to the FMSs to have them understand that this is a California law, that when people work hours, they are required to be paid. And that this is putting the entire program at risk when this is happening. Now, I know it is not ultimately the FMS's fault that they didn't get the POS authorization. In this case, it was the regional center's fault. And that's another place that you come in, Marlene, is that so my question to you is, do you prioritize these when people call you? Do you prioritize crisis ones where literally if Tina does not get supported, it could lead to, she's already, the stress has led to health issues for her and seizures. And, or if somebody requires 24/7 supports and their people are calling out, we're talking about the health and safety of a consumer. Do you prioritize those above ones where somebody's just like, could you tell me what is a spending plan? Or, just like a really generic question?
I thank you for that question, Judy. That's a really great question. I want to answer some of the points, well, all of the points, and let me know if I miss one. In regards to repeated occurrence, like I was sharing earlier, definitely in the short time that I've been in the office and just reviewing data that our office has been able to obtain a pattern in regards to FMSs. And part of that, as I was sharing the data, is staffing and payments on time, right? It being addressed in a more global, let's address like bigger issue, long-term solution, FMS standards, right? Really outlining what is the expectation of the FMS. Like you said, these are individuals' lives, right? And a health and safety concern. So yes, like all contacts, so I want to be very mindful of how I answer this. All contacts are crucial. At the end of the day, everybody's in a different phase, but I definitely understand in regards to when there's staff 24/7 health and safety concerns, right? We definitely have had a huge influx of, unfortunately, I say unfortunately because there, as more people are entering self-determination, they've acquired services, and these gaps in services and these transitions being smooth, right, is definitely something that we've seen a pattern in recent months. So we are taking it very seriously and trying to address as quickly as we can. Um, as I'm here today, definitely something that we want to prioritize. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
Rasheen,
I can't even blame the FMS because the FMS is waiting for the regional center to get the transfer done because my budget ran out 2 weeks before the end, but there was funding we adjusted a transfer and there was funding left in the other FMS. And we were just waiting for it to be transferred, and that's why nobody's getting paid because people took their time and didn't do it fast enough. They're already guaranteed that they'll be paid on after Christmas, but they need their paychecks before Christmas. People have children. They need to buy presents. They need to buy Christmas dinner. I mean, they need to pay their rent too, but just worse because my birthday's in December.
I really hear that. And, it's all important. It's all crucial, but I can see that this month is specifically important to you and all of this situation happening. I hear it, and I definitely want you to know that um, we're taking it seriously, but definitely we can maybe connect outside of this call. All right, Tina.
so Marlene, Rasheen at 4:59 said, my staff also did not get paid for 12/10 either. What's happening with the FMSs and paychecks? So this seems like a larger issue. The other time of year that I see this happen quite often is the end of the fiscal year. And there are times with the end of the fiscal year where the FMSs say, we're not paying invoices for the next month. And we're like, that's not an option. You have to. So that is definitely something that um, I'm hearing lots of feedback from people on.
And thank you, Christiana, for noting that. I did put our individual information here in the chat. I did want to share there is a directive, and I don't want to speak to the individual situations. I want to be very mindful of. But there is the directive that was generating about extending plans in an attempt to avoid these gaps. So again, I don't know the specifics of the latest comment, but definitely put the information in the chat so we can connect and have them connected and get that individual support on that.
So we're definitely having issues with rollovers.
Yes.
And that even though we have that directive with the extension, we have we're getting it from two sides. We have financial management services saying we have to have it by the 15th. the POSs by the 15th before the date of the rollover. And if we don't have it, we have FMSs that are canceling people, that are sending notices that they are going to be, suspended. And we don't have a lot of control, as participants, we don't have control of it. We're emailing, we're asking, we can't force them to send the POSs. And so that has been an issue. And again, most of us will send it out 3 months in advance. We're doing what we've been asked. Give us enough time to do it. But the regional centers are being late, and that has been a really big issue. I'm a kind of a data nerd, so when I looked at your chart, you had your FMS as the largest bar, and then you had regional center spending plan budget. The spending plan and budget probably all are under regional center, so I would think that maybe their bar could be larger than the FMS bar. If you combined that, those questions are probably directed towards the regional center.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yes, I love data too. I wanted to make two comments to what you said. A lot of people are starting early. I love to hear the proactive. Again, I understand that it should not be a stressful process. It should be seamless. And I do hear, right, these concerns, and I don't take them lightly. The one thing that I will say, still call us. Again, just like it allows us to capture data. You're starting 3 months in advance and you got in like right at the wire. We want to hear like how long it's taking. If we don't hear you were proactive, you started 3 months in advance and you barely made it in, we want to hear those things as well, right? And I just wanted to share that because I know you mentioned it earlier, but it is very significant because it really allows us to understand what is happening for the individuals that are in self-determination or attempting to get in.
And you may not hear how often it's happening if people do resolve it, or they were stressed at the last minute, but it got solved.
Yes.
Can we just leave a message on the
You
answer
can leave a
sheet?
message. You
This
can
happened, it's resolved, but we wanted you to know it happened.
Yes, so we are encouraging as we're going out into the community to, we share with individuals as they share with us. Send us an info only. Send us an email saying like it was able to get resolved, but I just want you to know what I went through or like what happened for me in order for us to be able to understand what's really happening.
Good to know. Thank you. So I have one quick one, and then I'm going to get to Miriam. Sorry, you've been very patient, Miriam. And it was from Cindy at 4:52, and it ties into what we were just talking about. It said, "I understand you accept and track complaints and questions. Do you do the same for compliments and good things?"
You know, we would love more of those calls too. I loved when Tina shared, and we always share with the team as we get feedback into something that worked. We do send a survey at the end if we supported in something as we're closing out the inquiry or the contact, we will send out a survey. So we really look at those to share with staff and say if we were able, if you were satisfied with the support that you received or if you want management to contact you. So please also share those positive things as well with us. We'd love to hear them, and I flag those emails when they come in, and it's definitely something great to hear. So yes, we do try our best to keep track of those, but keep them coming if you have them.
Miriam, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Miriam. I'm an independent facilitator, and I have a son in year 5 of SDP. I have 2 questions. The first one is the rate study is, it's going to be implemented, the third part, January 1st. How is it going to affect SDP participants? Will they get the rates? How is it going to be rolled out and implemented?
That is a really great question, right? So right now I know that the rate study team, right? I've been joining to listen in on, the rollout and how they're supporting regional centers and all of those different things. Definitely a question that has come up is that 10% incentive and what that would look like in self-determination. I don't have that answer for you right now, but definitely something that has come up. In regards to the specifics, right, it would be working with the regional center. I know that they're putting out the averages and each regional center will vary, but seeing if, if there's a specific service or what that looks like individually. But in regards to the 10%, it has been brought up, but we don't have an answer or direction in that just yet. I don't know if
Okay, but
Miriam, that answers your question.
it will be in some way implemented for SDP. If there is a rate change for a service code or a specific provider, the SDP participant will get that rate increase too.
You know, that is something that in self-determination, right, is expected to be the expense that they otherwise would have, right, in traditional services. So I don't want to speak without 100% knowing. So it's definitely something that we've just requested further guidance and on how it impacts self-determination.
Okay. The other issue with that is also that some codes are going away, switching to other codes. So I'm sure that still needs to be figured out too. But my other question is for independent facilitators who want to provide service code 99099 with the subcode participant directed services. As far as I know, there's only one regional center right now who does have an FMS. And my question is, are regional centers allowed to guarantee IFs that they will be paid? You know, if I want to provide service right now, I don't care when I'll be paid as long as I will be paid. But one regional center has been telling me I can't work right now. The participant has to wait 4 months, 6 months until they find an FMS. That is very unfair. It's the participant cannot choose. There is no choice, even though the directive says there should be choice. This directive has been active since August 1st. This option is available since August 1st, and the regional centers have known about it even longer than that. So I don't understand this.
Miriam, thank you so much for your question. I definitely would want to connect with you in regards to, the specifics of who's saying, providing that information.
I reached out, I already emailed, and it's definitely been more than 48
Okay,
hours.
I'll
I
have
have 2 emails open for 2 different things.
Okay, I'll have to look into it. So I appreciate you bringing that up. In regards to the 099 and helping individuals get into the program, right? Independent facilitators are definitely, a big part of that process. And so with the financial management agencies, the regional centers should be working and should have an FMS, right? That would be able to support it. So I'm going to look into what you're sharing, but I definitely want to hear more about it. So I will look, Miriam, into the emails that you've sent in.
Thank you.
But yes, so as of January 1st, right, regional centers should have an FMS, right, to provide that support for the 099 or for the participant directed 099 if an individual chooses to do that with an independent facilitator.
So Makai at 503 asked, for quality control, is it best to contact the Ombudsman's office, Disability Rights California, or if really bad enough to go to hearing? Should clients do all 3?
That's a really great question. So we want you to be able to utilize the resources that are most, helpful for you. Our office definitely can capture data, right? Like we shared, we're able to try and facilitate resolutions if something is occurring, right? And the individual or the family provides us consent where we can contact other parties, right, to try and resolve that situation, right? At any time, if we will remind you of your right to appeals. We will connect you with additional resources as well and share disability rights if it's, something, but you can contact all of us at the same time, right, to ensure that connect with disability rights, connect with us to try and ensure that we address and provide the support that is needed. I would hate to say something where you reach out to one and then we bounce you to something else because we want to ensure that you receive the support as promptly as possible.
I would kind of also add that you have different functions also.
Yeah.
And that Disability Rights California, they're attorneys. And so they're going to have a different ability to give you legal advice, whereas the Ombudsperson's office cannot give you legal advice.
Yes, thank you for that plug-in, Christiana. I appreciate that.
You can do all 3 at once if necessary.
Mhm.
So, Jordan, go ahead.
Thank you. This is Jordan, client, former chair, vice chair, been doing this dance a long time, and I'm going to say something that bears repeating. I looked at your graph. The number one issue, FMS, Financial Management Service. Don't like acronyms, okay? Financial Management Service. That is the bane of my existence. I am not ignorant. I understand why they are put in place. Two issues. One is you need to get them into a room, all of them, and explain what their role is and what their role is not. Maybe you need advice from people like myself, because obviously they don't know what their role is, what they don't know what the role is. With that said, more importantly is they are the bane and the noose around everybody's neck. The complaints I hear from when I go to my own self-advisory meeting, when I look at the Facebook page, is FMSs, as you pointed out. So we need to fit. I've been asking my own regional center, of course, they don't talk to you about this, is we need to figure out a way to get rid of, in some way, the FMS. I understand why they're there, but it is going to be the anchor that will drag us down and sink the program. I can guarantee you, people are going to say, why did this program fail? It's because of the FMSs. Clients cannot get access to the money. We can't, you've been here, you just heard it now. My staff isn't getting paid on time. I can't pay my independent facilitator. My independent facilitator said, to hell with it, don't pay me. I said, that's not that I don't want to pay you, I can't. He said, and I won't take a check. I'm not going to fight regional center for the money. And walked away because she wasn't getting paid. One issue after another, it's these FMSs that are just dragging us down. They're the anchor. So is there a way that we can come together and figure out another way to get people paid? Whether it's, I understand why we have it, but it's not working 100%. Well, maybe not 100%, but a good, more than, I would say, a good 80-90% of it is not working because of the FMS. You don't hear complaints about, oh, I'm having problems with staff. I'm having problems with, the biggest problem used to be with getting your services and getting Regional Center to approve a spending plan. That was the biggest issue. Once a spending plan is in place, now you're fighting with your FMS, whether it's GTI, build, I mean, it could be an opportunity, GTI, Mainzo, balance, whatever the FMS is, you're going to have a problem with it. I can guarantee you. Some people say, is this one better than the other? No, they're just not as bad as the other one. I wouldn't say they're better. I would say they're not as bad as this other FMS. They're good for a minute. Then they find out, hey, wait a minute. Why should I pony up? They get away with it. Regional centers are afraid to get rid of the FMS because if we get rid of them, what do we do with these clients? Where do we go to? This FMS can't take you because you only will take a budget of 100,000. Your budget is 120. Your budget is 140. So they won't take you. It's just a mess. And my question is, what are we going to do? And how are we going to solve this mess of the FMS? Is there a way to just bypass it and get payments in another way? There's something we have to do. I don't want an FMS. I would rather have, I trust Christina to manage my money over any FMS. Anybody. I trust my staff, my own, Bank of America, anybody. And I could put people in place who can manage my money better than my FMS, and they don't manage it. But if you hear the story, I mean, I don't know if you heard the story. Have you heard the stories? Do you need me to call you and tell you some of these stories, some of these war stories that I've had for 5 years, and I can send you emails of other people or links of other people having problems not being able to get things done because they can't use their spending plan. And then when you don't spend all the money in your plan, what happens to the next year? Sorry, I'm not going to roll the money over. Well, I did everything I was supposed to do. Well, they didn't pay on that on your staff. Sorry, they won't get the money in the next budget year because they didn't pay on it. So your staff will not get that money back. My staff did not get paid. That is a fact. When my budget year went from 1 year to the next and they didn't get paid, they wouldn't get paid. Sorry, your budget year's over. They start over. They won't get that money.
Jordan, I really appreciate you, sharing that. And as we review the data, you're right. Part of the biggest reason for contact is related to FMS, financial management service concerns or support that is needed in that area. One of the ways that the department is attempting to address it, based on the feedback and things this clearly the community has shared and individuals have shared, is through the standards, right? To ensure that everybody's on the same page and that there is it is clearly lined out, right? I mean, we talked about, I think, Christiana, you brought up California law, right? And the things that are expected, some of these basic expectations for financial management service agencies. So definitely something that we acknowledge has been the biggest reason for contact, and definitely something that the department is working on through part of it through those standards. But if you wanted to connect, we can definitely do that as well. And I'll put the information in the chat again as well.
Oh, perfect. I was just going to ask you to put your info again in the chat. And so, Jordan, please do go and share so they do know what's going on. But I want to be fair to our FMSs, that I want to say that self-determination program is like building a plane in flight. There are a lot of things that are changing constantly, and they are really trying to do their best, and that while we hear lots of complaints, there are also lots of situations where the FMS is working fine for the families. And so I don't want to paint this picture that nobody's getting their stuff paid for and that it's not working at all. So there are cases where it is. So I'm not trying to say that the people who are having problems aren't having problems, but I do want to be fair to our financial management services, and they are partners in this. We need to be partners with them. And what I hear from our financial management services is they want more direction. They want to know specifically what they should be doing and can and can't do. And some of that lack of direction is part of what's been going on. So Department of Developmental Services did put out a request for proposal to have a certification and training for financial management services. That was, they hired Applied Self-Direction, who is a national organization that is very well regarded. And they have been working with financial management services for many, they're going on decades. And they are working to create the standards so we can see some consistency across our financial management services. So we can see, and what I've heard about other states is their financial management services are so well regulated, all of them function exactly the same. So you're really picking somebody based on their customer service. I would love to get to that point here in California. And I think that should be our goal, is that we're getting consistency across the whole state. Melissa, go ahead. Melissa, are you able to unmute? I know sometimes I leave your hands up so long, people.
Here we go.
There we go.
Hi, yes, thank you. Everybody brought up really great questions. So thank you, everybody. I wanted to know, because it's still about the FMS issue, what's going on with, because I noticed that GT never posted their FMS rates when the directive said to post the rates. GT kind of went like crickets on that. And then also GT has still been charging this 1% non-payroll fee. And I know that in the directive, they said that 1% was not allowable, but apparently GT is just ignoring that. So my question is, is there been any update on that 1% non-payroll fee that GT is charging? And is there been any update on sick time? Because like the way GT charges the sick time and allows sick time, we're losing money because they're holding money there that we're not able to use.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for your question. In regards to the 1% and the employer burden, the last that we are aware, GT and the policy department continue to work together to address some of these items. So definitely hear your concern, but at this time, that is the latest update that we have. In regards to the sick time situation, if you wanted to maybe touch base offline, I'll put the information in the chat just to get a little bit more information in regards to, more specifics on that.
Great question, Melissa. And I did want to add that you have your listed employer burden rates on your website, which we appreciate. Thank you. But we have some financial management services that are not quoting those rates for new clients that are coming in. They are quoting different rates. um, are the rates that are on that spreadsheet the ones that they need to be using until they request a different rate?
Great question, Christiana. Yes, the rates that are posted on the website are the rates that were reviewed by the department and were established for that FMS. So if there are these situations where they are being provided a different rate, please definitely contact our office, right, so that we are aware of what's happening. But yes, those would be the rates that are, should be being quoted at this time. And then if there are, things that are changing, that would be addressed with policy, and the FMS would work with that with their vendoring regional center and the department.
And update them. And we also have a couple new financial management services since that list was made. Do you guys know how often you'll be updating that list?
Yeah. I know there's been a few in the last few months, so definitely we'll reach out to policy and see when those can be updated to ensure that there's that transparency into what their employer burden rates are. Thank you for that, Christiana.
Awesome, thank you.
Mhm.
Sandra, go ahead.
Hi, Marlene. Congratulations on your new position.
Thank you.
So, I have a ton of clients with Regional Center of Orange County, your alma mater. And I have been talking to the Ombudsman's office our Ombudsperson's office for a couple of years about the micromanaging of spending plans at Regional Center of Orange County. I've worked with 12 regional centers over the last 5 years, and Orange County is the only one that says funds for basketball have to be used for basketball. Funds for staff have to be used for staff. They are the only ones that require whatever that is in the budget be used in the spending plan. Is there any possibility that we can get some direction from the Ombudsperson's office to the Orange County Regional Center to stop it? I have a person who asked for surfing. It was $12,000 a year, but then they decided for $3,000 of it they wanted to do something different, and they're not even allowing that.
So thank you for your question, Sandra. I know that, like you said, that is my alma mater, right? I acknowledge that I come from Orange County. Definitely would want to connect on that individual basis, right? Offline, and please feel free to reach out to our office. Also, I would love to hear a little bit more, right, in regards to your thoughts, what's working, not working. At the end of the day, we, want self-determination, and, part of the office, right, is like allowing self-determination to have that flexibility, that control, and for people to really address the needs, right, that they have. So definitely would want to, spend some time, Sandra, brainstorming with you and talking about that a little bit further. So yeah, definitely, let's connect.
So Mary at 506 said, can we hear more about the penalties when employees don't get funds? I actually see
Go ahead,
Spencer's
Christiana.
hand up, and so Spencer may be able to answer this question. Would you like to unmute Spencer?
Pardon me, I actually had to step away. So what was the question?
Oh, let me repeat the question. Can you tell us more about the penalties when employees don't get paid?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I was trying to find the hand raise button and all this stuff to quickly chime in, and I know that one came from Tina, right? Okay. This is actually what's happening with the class action lawsuit, GT independence, and all that kind of stuff. Sole employer versus co-employer versus who's responsible. Basically, in the state of California, no excuses. If somebody worked the hours, even if they did a bad job and you want to get rid of them, as an employer, you have 10 calendar days to pay these people. Even if you didn't like the job that they want to do. If you don't like the job you want to do, start the termination process. And literally, If they're not paid within 10 days, the exceptions are expense reimbursements, which includes mileage. Overtime can be put on another paycheck, but anything that is straight hours worked, they have to be paid. And there is an industry out there of plaintiff employment attorneys that will literally then file the suits against everybody and check all the boxes, unpaid wages, late payments, all of this, everything. And, basically, you don't want to go to a hearing to the Department of Industrial Relations. That's what covers this. And if you're found guilty of it, it's a $5,000 penalty per occurrence per employee. And then it becomes the finger pointing situation on, in Tina's case, it doesn't matter if you're sole employer or co-employer model, the participant and their families can be named in these suits. Because California has a joint employment law, meaning, you might be working for participant or family X, but if agency Y is paying the payroll, agency Y, which would be the FMS, has a responsibility to make sure that the timesheets are collected timely, has a responsibility that the employees are collected, paid timely. I mean, we literally here have a checklist of all the employees that we should be getting timesheets from and their respective contacts of the family. We literally email these people, on the first day of the month, on the 16th of the month, saying, hey, you got 2 days to get your timesheets in, and we keep track of it. And, an FMS agency, it doesn't matter if the regional center is slow or I had a situation where an IF was busy. The IF didn't get the spending plan in time to the regional center. And, it took the regional center 2 months to, finally get the stuff in the billing system and we could collect. But this person had one employee. And we paid that one employee. Yes, we were floating the money. But I heard there was a delay. And then when I heard, wait a second, there's a delay in this, I get we're holding the invoices, but this is an employee. This person's on our record as an employee. We must pay them.
So Spencer, if people don't know who you are, do you want to share who you are?
Oh, I'm sorry, because you know who I am. My name is Spencer Legate. I'm the controller at Focus on All Child Therapies, also known as FACT. But the other hat I wear is I'm also the director of FMS. And with my controller experience, 30 years in the financial industry before I went into the nonprofit sector, I've been in various levels of management, various levels of running HR and whatnot. So we have to remember that the state of California, even though it's an at-will state, is the most labor-friendly state in the union. And there is a cottage industry. So all you need to have is that one employee that, maybe he works the night shift or, they work the night shift, let's be gender neutral here. And, during daytime TV, they're watching the daytime talk shows and the court shows and the trash shows, right? And they see the employment attorneys. Were you paid on your paycheck late? Were you not paid your wages? Did they not give you the overtime? And boom, call us. You're entitled to $5,000 in damages. I mean, that's literally a cottage industry. Now, mind you, most of us
what we do know is
Yeah.
that the definition in the law of the self-determination program law for financial management services does require that the financial management services are responsible for the accounting, tax withholding, compliance with relevant state and federal employment laws,
Yeah.
which means you got to pay your employees. So I think
Exactly.
that's
Now,
really, really
this is what I recommend that Tina does. Because trust me, I've had to pull this card on the regional center. She needs to email whoever, I don't know what regional center she's with, but Christiana, you kind of know the top people in the regional centers. They need to email that person and their FMS director of that FMS agency and say, hey, look, these staff members need to be paid on time. I'm not going to be subject to the $5,000 late payment penalties. Usually that lights a fire under everybody's tuchuses, and things get minute they see, labor board, employees, $5,000 penalties. I've had to do it.
And I would include the ombudsperson's office on that email.
Yeah, I would obviously CC in Marlene. Hi, Marlene. We met at Lanterman as well.
Yeah,
You were-
Spencer. Yeah, nice to see you again.
I mean,
Thanks so much, Spencer. We really appreciate it.
yeah, I was going to say, I
You're in the front
understand
lines.
FMS agencies, we have things that fall through the cracks. Sometimes we pay people late, and we all have our pluses and minuses and, all that kind of stuff. None of us are perfect. But there is one little escape clause in that labor law thing is if, late wages are okay if paid immediately upon discovery. So say a timesheet comes in and it's for 40 hours and it should have been for 50. And after the paycheck is done, the family then sends in, they were supposed to get paid 5 hours on this day. Then the FMS agency needs to immediately run a payroll to pay that out. Because otherwise, if you do stuff, and we kind of beat people over the heads for the long term, but we try to educate our management partners, right, the families, that it takes 3 days to run payroll, and they can't be sending in timesheets late. They can't be, we want these direct deposits in their bank account on time.
I hear that we need a lot of work, that we need to be working together. We need to get we need to make sure that the families have training so they know the participants know what needs to be done. And then when they do it, we need to know that the FMS is going to get it paid, and it's going to get paid on time. Thanks so much, Spencer. Makai, would you like to go ahead? Are you able to unmute, Makai? Oh, there you go.
Well, thank you. That was that's a great information. My talk is personal and professional issue. I am really outraged at the disparity of individuals accessing SDC and Black and brown families. Personally, I have contacted them about the lack of appointments, securing meetings with my case manager and supervisor. It will get resolved, and then a problem again. And as well, there's incredible disincentive in accessing the STC program. One, not enough facilitators wait anxiously for DUU to have their website, but also training of facilitators. I went to the advisory committee, and instead of relaying information, I now have a meeting with, I guess, the head of advisory committee. There's nowhere I could have been in terms of a website, a handout that I could share. And in my job at CIL, I know a lot of individuals who may want to become facilitators, and especially addressing Black and Brown communities. It would be very helpful to have facilitators. I'm distressed about how complicated this can be in terms of paying the lines. It's great to have a quality insurance process, having a dozen the civil rights council. But the reality is many families don't know they can utilize it. Or when they do, it still becomes a problem. I had a client who was told that at 26, he is no longer a client of the regional center. And he hasn't gotten services for 8 years. So part of my job is to motivate, encourage, and facilitate to do their own self-advocates. But I am pushing the stone uphill because many families are not the same. I know it takes time to systemic issues, but going without and not being able to access program, it's such a detriment to the development of a growing child and now adults. So that was my question, because I'm looking at three things: the ombudsman, the RC, and a hearing, because it's such a long process now. And looking at the disparities, I don't understand why this is not criminal. If most of the regional centers are nonprofits and they're charged with carrying out services that the state pays, but there's such problems getting served, problems with transparency. I don't understand how they don't get discharged revoked. That's my first one. And then looking at the disparities, which in my estimation borders on discrimination, why is there not concerted act in terms of laws looking at oversight over a number of these legal sentences? And then lastly, I'm really concerned. I encourage people to look into the SDP program in terms of flexibility, person-centered orientation. But I'm worried about leading people from one systemic problem into another. There's orientations for the SDP program, and they're the middle of the day. Many Black and Brown families work. They, there's nothing for after 5 o'clock, and if that could be something Marlene, that you could bring to the legal center? We need after 5 o'clock weekend orientation so that families, work, have caregiving responsibilities, but are required to have orientation. Then we need more flexibility around
Right.
time.
Makai, I have to say, I can just quit my job now because I think you hit on almost every aspect of things that we need to work on. You nailed it. Starting with, yay, I'm glad you're looking forward to our website. We are going to do a big rollout January, and it will have step by step. Hopefully that will help as well. I agree, the process is way too difficult. We need to streamline the process. I I will um, I will reach out to SCDD personally and ask them for the orientation to make sure that they can do some in the evenings. I will give that feedback to them. Absolutely. Um, and I think when you talked about the things that we are concerned, like you said, the disparity, um, the all of those things, this is also why we're asking people, please keep reporting to the ombudsperson's office. We need this data. They do take this data to influence directives. At DVU, we try to influence through policy, through laws, and so we are, we hear you, and you you are dead on. Marlene, do you want to?
Yeah, I appreciate it. First of all, I just want to thank you for everything that you shared. I agree with Christiana in regards to, as you were sharing, right? I was taking notes to note that you share great insight into what are some of those core things and even some barriers and how they can be resolved, which is amazing. I really, again, encourage like every step, everything that you even feel was resolved, but it was either time consuming or it was difficult. Share those even though they were resolved, because it really allows for us, like Christiana said, DBU works on, bigger scale, but we also want to help with these policies and ensure that maybe there's something that we haven't thought of, right? But you as a participant or as a family member can provide some of that insight on the other side. And that collaboration is so fundamental in order for the program to be successful to navigate. And, it's exciting to hear that DBU will have that step by step, right? Really allowing for, again, I definitely feel information is power. So allowing people the opportunity to have the information and make those choices, I think is fundamental and essential, for the success of the program, among other things. But I just really appreciate it. And I don't know if I missed anything, but I wanted to capture everything that you said and just really thank you for, your thoughtful and detailed just information that you shared today. So thank you so much.
We had a question from Maria at 5:32. Where are the new rates posted? I'm going to put it in the chat right now for you. We're getting very close to time. Mary, I'm going to have you go ahead, but please keep your comment to 2 minutes.
Hi. Okay. It's hard now to just focus on what I was thinking about. There's so much. Thank you for the information. I wanted to touch on FMSs and just say that if we're going to continue using FMSs, we need more of them, and standardized, that's wonderful. Oh goodness. I am so sorry. I have been taking notes and listening, and it's like information overload. So I'm not going to take up the whole 2 minutes, but I'll contact you, Marlene, if I have any specifics. I just have one thing I'll put out there. Maybe someone else has something to say about it. My daughter needs 24/7 care, and up until recently, I've been just powering through the nights that she doesn't sleep and functioning. But it's getting to me after 11 years of this, and she's 23, but she's she doesn't experience the insomnia every night. It's more like 14 nights out of the week due to PMS. And we've tried multiple different things to take care of this, but my need is to have someone come in during those nights who can attend to her. Is this totally out there? I don't know. I got a lot of resistance from the regional center, and so I did what the lady before did, as far as I'm forgetting your name. I think it was Tina. Anyway, she needed services, but also needed to push through her budget, so I did what she did. Maybe that's a personal thing anyway. I don't want to take up all the time.
So I think you made a really great point. So one of the things as an IF that I will recommend is don't stall your budget because you have a disagreement on one thing. If it's not the thing that makes up your entire budget, go into self-determination and continue arguing for that. You can always go and update after so you can get started.
Right. That's what we're going to end up doing.
Right.
I
And
mean,
then the other piece,
ironically, it all got solved via email. I mean, we finally have funds to pay. Just literally during this meeting.
oh, yay! So we have a celebration. Wonderful news. So we just have 1 minute left. I want to just take a moment to thank everybody in the community, everybody that shows up all the time for Connect. You guys are making self-determination program a reality. We know that it can be hard. I also know for my son, it has been a complete life changer. We would never give it up. So it is a program that we believe is worth fighting for. We're going to make this work. Marlene, thank you so much to your office and for your support and your partnership. To the FMSs that are here, same thing. We, in the new year, want to see this work for everybody. That is our intent. And I believe in self-determination as a civil right. I think it is the most important thing that we can do for the future. For ourselves and for our loved ones. So I want to wish everybody a wonderful holiday season. I want to remind everyone we're not going to be here on our next Connect because it would be on December 25th. So we will not be here until January 8th, 2025, which is hard to say. 2025, oh my goodness. Thank you all, and I want to take a moment to thank our interpreters. They work so hard at every one of these meetings. I know I talk really fast. They are so patient with me. They do such an amazing job. Thank you. You're here with us all year long. And to my staff, could not do this without you guys. Tina, Kaylee, Michaela, you guys are the best. So please have a wonderful, safe holiday season.